Hello, I'm Thomas, and this is the KAANP, the Knoxville Area Artists Networking Platform. And here we talk to artists about themselves, the art they make, and where they make it, kinda. So, yeah, stick around, give us a listen, enjoy the show. We've managed to find ourselves here chatting on a podcast. So, how are you, Ethan?
I'm doing good. It's only minor technical difficulties.
Yeah, minor. We'll figure our stuff out as I adjust my microphone here.
Mine wasn't working, which is probably actually for the best. The
No.
best podcast you ever have.
Oh.
Just be you talking, and like we can't. Nobody wanted to hear him anyway.
Oh, that's giving me far too much credit. Nobody wants to hear me talk, or at least more than half the time, because that's how it works. So, how's being a Knoxville creative person treating you lately, man?
Not bad. I probably because I don't have to do anything creative for a living, which is wonderful. I can sit in my basement with my pens and a pad of paper and draw to my heart's content, or not.
And you have
my income does not depend on that.
no professional style of expectations.
None whatsoever, and it's very freeing.
Yeah, I can say I'm in that position as well. So art's not the day job.
No,
What
goodness.
is there a day job at the moment?
There's a day job. I work at a big manufacturing plant as an engineer doing packaging. It's more interesting than it sounds, but it's a lot of logistic stuff, like making sure the right people have the right boxes and our customers are happy with what they're getting. It pays the bills. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about my day job.
Boxes. Yeah, my day job allows me a certain degree of creative freedom in my free time as well. So that's nice. What kind of art do you find yourself making?
It has been mostly pen and ink, but anything that's grayscale on paper. I don't do sculpture or metalwork or anything like that. It's taking a pen or a chunk of charcoal and scratching on a piece of compressed cellulose.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's simple. It's inexpensive. It's within my capabilities, I suppose.
All right. So, has it always been the ink and paper or charcoal and paper? Have you used any other mediums in the past or want to explore any in the future?
I have, but that was mostly limited to high school art class. We get in there and it's everything where it's drawing with pencil, drawing with pen, painting, sculpture, clay on the potter's wheel. It's just they throw everything at you, and it's a lot of fun, but you don't have enough time to really get good at anything, especially if you're someone like me who has pretty well zero talent at anything, at least from the jump. I can learn stuff, but as far as one of those kids where it's like, here, are you good at this immediately? And there's kids that are like, yep, I'm good at this immediately. I've never been one of those people.
How did your pottery experience go? Now that you've mentioned that, I'm really kind of curious.
It was a lot of fun, and if you remind me, I'll take pictures of what I've still got sitting at my house.
Oh yeah,
I would. It was a lot of fun, and I won't say I definitely wasn't great at it, but I was a lot better than some of the other people in the class.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I definitely want to see that. So, you have social media outlets, correct? We can link up with those real quick. What's your artistic output, social media name if you have one?
The Instagram is the best one. It's Ebo Draws on Instagram, EBO.draws. And I've got other ones too, like occasionally I'll post to Twitter and Flickr, but everything goes to Instagram first. So that's the best way to see all the nonsense that I spit out.
And that's the nonsense you spit out.
Yes.
Generally, all the paper and ink and charcoal drawings.
Yes, that nonsense.
Do you have any specific mediums you want to play with in the future?
I've been a little bit tempted. Well, everything I've done so far has pretty well just been grayscale, charcoal ink, India ink, graphite, whatever. So it's going to be black or gray. Maybe a little white pen or white, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not charcoal, pastel here and there, just to add a highlight. So again, there's hardly any color. So I've either been thinking like I want to try something with a little bit of color, but that sounds like God just a whole lot of shit to buy, or just for fun, I'll stick with the same color palette, but try it with, say, acrylic paint. So not a huge leap, but different than what I've been doing for the last few years.
It's good.
I haven't painted since high school. That was the last time I painted. It was terrible.
Do you remember what you painted?
Whatever they told us to. It was
Whatever they told us to.
It was whatever kind of nonsense of like, oh, you have to do something, but you have to use this color scheme with what is it, complementary colors. So yeah, you have to do it with complementary colors. Go. You do whatever you want, but must have complementary colors.
Here's your rigid criteria. Expand from this.
Yes, you set some boundaries. Be creative within those boundaries. Go.
I mean, at least those are good instructions.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, that's it as far as the flat stuff. There is actually, just while we're riffing on this, my dad has been essentially a blacksmith for 40 years, and he's nearly retired. Like, he works one day a week, but he doesn't do as much of the swinging of a hammer as he used to. He just does little stuff. And I say blacksmith, but he's a farrier, so he looks after horses' feet. But there's a lot of blacksmithing work involved. So he's got hammers and an anvil and a forge, and he doesn't use it anymore. So he said, son, do you want this? Hell yeah, Dad. I know just the spot in the garage.
Yeah, I would definitely take that opportunity.
So I'm going to eventually, probably in the next few months, get around to getting that ludicrously heavy equipment hauled over and set up in my garage, and I'm going to see what I can do with it from there. But that's still in the realm of possibility. I haven't actually done any of it at all. But that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to know. Yeah, forging and all that would be a good time. I certainly want to try it.
As soon as I figure out how to look again, assuming I get all of this and don't just keel over in the meantime, come over and we'll crank up that forge and
we'll beat some steel.
Yeah, some metal, and I don't even know what I want to make. Making knives seems a little ambitious right from the jump because I've seen people do it, and it's a lot of work. So it's probably going to be like, I don't know, a coat hanger or something like that to start with.
A forged and hammered out coat hanger. Try it.
My current coat hangers are railroad spikes.
Well, there you go. It's right up the alley. You might be able to use those railroad spikes to make your new coat hanger.
That's true.
Yeah, that's definitely a medium I want to get into, but there's definitely a capital investment that is a very unique one.
Yeah, and if you get into it and you decide like, wow, this sucks. Damn, good luck.
Yeah. You got
$10,000 worth of equipment.
You got to figure out either how to do it super cheap, hobbyist level, and not like lose your ass, or just be okay with losing your ass with having good materials.
Some people have got that kind of money laying around, and most of us don't. So I'm going to jump on the opportunity that's been dropped in my lap and say, heck yeah, Dad, bring your anvil over and show me how to do it and not blow up the garage.
Yeah, right. I'm jealous. Good job.
Don't worry. You can come over and swing a hammer. I'm gonna crack another beer because I'm nervous.
That's fine. So tell us about what your style is, because I say dark, like whimsy, fantastical, but what would you call it?
You nailed it.
No,
that's what I'd call it too. Gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just kind of where I feel like going. I'm struggling again because of the medium that I choose to use. It's all, like I said, it's all grayscale, so it lends itself to slinging down a lot of black. So there's a lot of little figures walking through caves or walking through forests or trying to get somewhere.
There is a lot of intended travel in your work. Like there's a lot of people going places or arriving places. There's a lot of that. A lot of journeymen in your work.
I had a friend try and psychoanalyze some of my drawings once, because again I mentioned this just a second ago. It's a little motif I like. It's just a cloaked figure and a dog going who knows where, and it's fun to explore that. But my friend, our mutual friend Ben was the one who pointed this out, that the little guy is always going into the darkness. He's going into the cave.
Oh, definitely.
Into the
never,
blackened,
never away from the thing.
yeah, never like into. He's never going into the light or at least out of the darkness. And I was like, huh. I don't know what that says about me. Clearly, it says enough that he pointed it out. I did do a couple drawings just for him where little guy was going into the lighted doorway of an otherwise very ominous looking castle. that was just for Ben.
Yeah, a one-off. No, you ought to challenge yourself if you feel up for a challenge and draw somebody walking away from that dark shit just for shits and giggles.
I'm probably going to do that. It's something that has been on my mind a little bit just because I didn't realize I had this exact same theme over and over and over again. I thought I just had similar themes over and over again.
Well, I mean, the piece of yours that I have hanging on the wall over there, and sorry, everybody, it's a nice day outside. My windows are open, so you might hear some vehicles pass by. Don't freak out, please.
We are safe and inside.
Right. Even though we could be recording this on the back porch if I trust it wouldn't rain, but I don't. Thank you, East Tennessee weather.
East Tennessee in the spring. Here we are.
Oh, boy. But it's the guy and his dog walking into a big giant mushroom forest. And even though that may be dark and whimsy, I don't feel too negative about it because you know what? I like giant mushroom forests, and that's very positively whimsical in my opinion.
I mean, good things happen on journeys. It's not all
Yeah.
and gloom and slaying dragons.
But I do want to slay a dragon.
I'll work on that. I have one. I actually have one somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I'll send it to you.
Oh, please. I want to see this dragon.
It's terrible, but I'll send it to you anyway.
I've seen plenty of terrible things in my life. A poorly drawn dragon will, I'm sure, delight me.
All right, got it.
Glorious. So, do you have any major influences that have pushed your artistic output to this direction? Or is this just kind of what has fallen out of your fingertips?
As far as the way I started doing stuff, which was just like I quite literally found. Well, let me back up a little bit. It's just we're sitting here chatting. I can start a little earlier. Probably like a lot of people, I've always enjoyed drawing and doodling and things like that. But I've always been just terrible at it, and I don't know. I'm going to blame college for this because I was just so busy. It just kind of beat all the creative energy out of me.
I know the feeling, yeah.
It just crushed my soul, and so any desire for artistic expression went away. Sometime after that, I quite literally found a nice sketch pen, a Pigma Micron. I guess my wife had bought it and thrown it in the 5-gallon bucket of just pens and Sharpies and highlighters that she'd accumulated over the years. And I found that, and I had a little blank notebook that I actually brought with me here just for show and tell. I was like, you know what? To hell with it. I am going to start sitting down and just drawing whatever I feel like in this little notebook. And I'd seen a picture of this kind of, I don't know, how did you describe this cityscape?
I said you couldn't really nail it down to any specific time period when I was looking at it earlier. It almost looks medieval, but
it does,
but almost modern because city skyline, the way you have the windows and the negative space, sorted. It looks very ambiguous as far as a time period goes.
Yeah, right. It kind of does, and it's just an odd silhouetted cityscape. And I saw a picture of something like this, and I thought, you know what, I could do that. I thought, well, I want to do mountains the same way. So here's the next page of this little book that the listeners can't see.
Yeah.
There's some mountains, and I was like, well, let me try drawing a tree here. All right, there's a tree, and it just went from there. And I was like, this is kind of fun. I'm gonna keep doing this, and whatever. Where are we now? 5 years later, I've got a Rubbermaid tote full of sketchbooks, an Instagram account with 12 followers where I post my nonsense on the internet, and I'm having a good time.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like having a specific outlet for it, whether it be like you use Flickr and Twitter and Instagram, whatever. I feel like having somewhere to channel that energy after it's done being expressed is healthy because it gives it somewhere to go.
Exactly, and like people can look at it or not, but at least it's out there. It's not sitting in a notebook where one of these days I'm going to kick the bucket and people are going to have to deal with all the crap that I've left behind, and they're going to be like, God, why is this box so heavy? Good God. They're like, well, looks like Granddad liked to draw a lot.
What are all these bullshit scribbles?
And they're like, what do we do with this? I don't know. Just throw it in the burn pile, and that'll be the end of it. So at least
we'll use it for fire. We'll use it for the fireplace.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather that than it go into the trash. Like, yes, just burn it, sacrifice it to the gods. So yeah, to what you were saying earlier, yeah, I put it on a few different internet platforms, and there it is. Whatever, people can look or not. It's up to them.
Fair enough.
And I don't have anything for sale. I mentioned this earlier. I don't do this for a living, so I'm not trying to push it on anybody. Which again, it kind of takes the pressure off too.
That does take a lot of the pressure off, and that's something I sort of talked about with John yesterday. Like, not all artists are the best salesmen or marketers or businessmen in general. They're just really good at doing what they do, and those facets of their personality aren't always the most polished.
Mm-hmm. It's like the people that the same kind of thing. You always hear the stories about the people that are maybe they're artists or they're craftsmen or they've really got a skill and they're really good at it, and so they decide to start. They're working for somebody, and they decide, I'm going to start my own business. And there's so many stories of people like it just goes to shit in a hurry because people are really good at doing whatever to cars, fixing cars, making them hot rods. But by God, they have no idea how to keep the books of the people that are paying them to fix up their hot rods.
Exactly. And that can get you in trouble if you don't know how to keep the books.
Yeah, I hear the government doesn't like that.
Not well. They don't do a good job with theirs anyway. So
no, they don't do a good job. They just pretend it didn't happen. Like, no, everything's fine.
Yep. Look the other way, please.
Yeah, look. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Look, a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
That's political talk. Let's move away from that.
But so no like influences to name drop in your visual styles.
There are. Yeah. And to get back to your original question, I actually wrote them down because I knew you were going to ask that.
Yeah,
I
cool.
knew I would completely draw a blank as soon as you brought it up. I have found myself really liking a lot of Polish artists. I don't know what it is, if it's something in the water or if it's just the fact that, damn, the Poles have seen some shit over the last few hundred years that it really comes out in the art. There's one guy, I'll start at the bottom of the list and work my way to the top. Mariusz Lewandowski is a Polish painter, great stuff. That one's like actual direct influence. Like some of it I look at and think like, dang, I could do something kind of like that. I could do, his work is in color, mine will be not in color, but I could do something kind of like that. Dariusz Zawadzki, good luck spelling it if anybody tries to look that up. That's a good one. I mostly just like the feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, though, is a guy named Beksinski. His first name starts with a Z. I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce it, but fairly popular guy, Beksinski is his last name. And to go back to what we were talking about earlier with my little wanderer and his dog, and you ask the journeys that guy goes on, I can attribute that directly to Beksinski. There's the painting right there.
That is a cloaked figure, and it's very ominous looking dog.
Yeah, that's out going somewhere. His is more of a walking stick and less of a staff, but there's a really kind of creepy looking tower in the background. I can't tell if that's an eclipse or if it's a volcano erupting, but wherever this is, I don't want to be there.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's pretty well all of Beksinski's paintings.
It's pretty creepy looking.
Yeah, there's another one I'm going to show. This is another Beksinski painting. It's a very tiny figure kind of in the middle of the painting, walking through a canyon of these gigantic, creepy-looking statues that are very threatening-looking. That's the kind of stuff I love. And I can't give titles because most of these works are untitled, but they're among his more popular.
They're like shrouded skeleton figures. That's so cool.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff is directly an influence in the sense of like, here's this figure who's going somewhere and that looks like a place I don't want to be.
Oh yeah, that was creepy as hell. To put it bluntly, that's creepy as hell.
It's super creepy. And then there's the feel of it. Here's one more painting of it's a bunch of looking down on a bunch of they're like rock pillars, and they're of unknown height because they just disappear in the mist, and each one has a fire on top and a bunch of creepy little humanoids huddled around a fire, and you look at that and you think like, I don't want to be there. Don't ever take me to a place like that. That looks like some version of hell.
Yeah, that's a very polarizing image for
And
sure.
I have no idea why I like stuff like that, but artwork like that, things from anything that Hieronymus Bosch ever painted,
Mm.
I love it. It's just any of it. I don't know why I like the creepy, macabre, weird devils just like buggering some poor tortured soul with a pitchfork. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what was going on in the mind of the person that painted this in the 16th century, but I would love to talk to them.
That's like a lot of Renaissance era paintings and stuff like that. Have all the depictions of hell and all the ridiculous depictions of things that happen in hell.
Oh yeah, people like running, getting squeezed between two rollers and burnt over fire and boiled in a pot. I swear to God, I had a good childhood. My parents loved me. I was never abused. I never saw any tragedy. Like, I had a few teachers who were kind of mean. That was about the worst of it. And for some reason, I love the darkest, most macabre art you've ever seen.
Here you are talking to me about how jacked up you are. No, I mean, I really enjoy a lot of macabre stuff as well, but I also enjoy all kinds of other like ridiculous things to that extreme, and I tend to go more like psychedelic in my artwork, but macabre and mysterious and dark doesn't often find itself into my artwork. But if those are your influences, I totally understand how this happens.
I would say those are my influence as far as the oftentimes the feel of what I'm trying to put out there. But I didn't mean to imply that that's all that I enjoy, because like
Right.
you flop down like an early M.C. Escher, like some of his prints, or I've really been looking at a lot of Van Gogh's lately, but Van Gogh's sketches, so not the impressionists that you see with the real coarse brush strokes, which are fabulous. I love that stuff, but just the sketches where he had a pencil. A lot of that stuff I've been kind of getting into because it's not the real famous work, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's equally enjoyable.
And anything else. Just name drop all the big Renaissance, all the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, all the Ninja Turtles.
I love all the Ninja Turtles. Very good painters for being,
Dude, they did good for having 4 fingers. They did really, really good. Oh, goodness. All right, so do you have any influences that you have personally but don't really come through in your work? That aren't immediately visually recognizable themes?
I don't know if influence is quite the right word. I mentioned Hieronymus Bosch a second ago. I think that's more of just something I really enjoy looking at because it's so bizarre. And like, I don't know there's anything like that in the 16th century. He just comes out of nowhere. And anyway, gosh, I'm trying to think. Going back to Beksinski, there's a few elements of his that I try to convey a little bit, even just with using a pen. He was a painter, and they tend to be very colorful too. And he conveys a world that is just absolutely beyond anything I could ever imagine myself ever being capable of if I worked at this all day, every day for the rest of my life. So I have no aspirations of directly emulating his work. That's beyond me. But there are elements that I try to bring to it. Gosh, I don't know. I can't even think. I'm drawing a complete blank.
That's all right.
Like Van Gogh earlier, but to the impressionist side, I've played around with just using a brush pen and doing like the real coarse strokes to make a tree and a hill and a church, and pick whichever of his famous paintings you want.
I saw a really good representation of some of his artwork on a fridge for a Disney tour once, and I'll have to tell you all about that off mic. But do you have a workflow? Let's talk about workflow. Do you have any set routine or headspace you like to get into when you're drawing or trying to have some sort of creative time?
Gosh, one thing I really like to do, and I don't do this nearly as often as I used to, because mostly because I'm pretty well cut out most of the booze, but occasionally, if there's a bottle of wine left after a few people have come over for dinner, I will go down into my basement where I've got a little room. It's mostly just storage for Christmas decorations, but I've got a spot set up to draw, and I will get on whatever music platform, YouTube, Spotify, whatever, crank up some tunes that I want to hear. I particularly like YouTube because you can't switch to other apps while you're playing music.
Yeah.
Because it'll shut the music off, and then when you come back to YouTube, it'll start playing again.
And that just ruins it for you, so you don't go anywhere.
And then I kind of do that on purpose because I'm like, no, if I want to keep jamming out and listen to this good music and drawing, I can't. Oh, I'm gonna go check this message that somebody sent me. It's like, no, I got to stick to this. So that's part of it. YouTube, crank the tunes. A little bit of wine doesn't hurt, but it's not necessary. And I'll sit down there and just go to town and draw whatever the hell I feel like. Maybe I saw something earlier that day where I think, damn, that's cool. I can do something like that. I'm going to give my own take on this thing that I saw earlier.
Yeah, today.
And just go to town, and that'll put me in a real good headspace.
Do you find it easy for yourself to get into that headspace in that routine?
It takes a little bit of effort for me because I can sometimes distract easily because for me, it's work. I enjoy it, but it's work, and there's a little bit of a barrier I got to break over to where, excuse me. Once I get going, I can keep going, but sometimes it's like, God, I kind of want to, I saw this picture, and I kind of want to do something like it. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, and damn it, and I'm going to do a little pencil sketch first and try and figure it out. Fuck, that doesn't work. God damn it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
And when the real thing is, like, just fucking do it. Just do it. You screw it up, who cares? Turn to the next page. Paper's cheap. Do another one.
Yeah.
Quit putzing around and planning and thinking about it and just get after it and make something happen. And if it turns out dog shit, so what? My livelihood doesn't depend on it.
Mm-hmm. It's a really liberating moment when you look at something in a project and you go, "Oh, that doesn't fucking matter."
It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, I'd got some runs of paint on the barrel I'm working on right now, and I was like, "Oh no, runs! Paint! I should have put less on the brush. Blah blah blah. Runs, they're terrible. You don't want them." But then I was like, "Wait a minute." I don't give a shit. I don't.
Kind of cool.
And it was like, I don't give a shit. I really don't. And then all of a sudden, that weight of worry and guilt was off my shoulders. I was just like, yes, I don't have to care about that right now.
And sometimes something like that looks really cool, and you're like, wait a minute, what if I do this on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
I did a drawing like that once. I was doing it with it was just India ink, and I just put too much ink on the brush, and the table I draw on is slanted, so it ran right down the page. My initial thought was, fuck!
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it was, well, that looks kind of cool. Oh, wait a minute. I can totally do this on purpose. And so I just added a few more runs in it. It looked like I intended to do it, and I totally didn't. And it turned out okay.
There you go. Win-win. It's great when that works out. I usually forget that my drawing table can incline, and I use it flat most of the time.
You crane over it, and you wonder after 2 hours why in the hell your neck
Yeah. When I could just like sit comfortably in my chair and slightly lean forward, like, go me.
Yeah, I paid whatever $30 for a little like doofus sit on top of my desk, slanty table thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, boy, it's just done wonders for my neck and my posture after a couple hours of drinking wine and listening to music on YouTube.
So is that an essential tool for your workflow? Do you have any essential tools for your workflow?
No, that's not it. That's where I'm really having fun. If I do something like that, crank up the music, couple glasses of beer, get into it, and it's fun, and I'm in a rhythm. But I can sit down in my living room. My wife's watching some British period piece on TV, and I'm sitting on the couch with my sketch pad, just utterly uninterested in what she's watching. And I can sit there, and sometimes that turns into something where I'm like, well, I'll be damned. Look at that.
Look at that.
Look, I did that.
I did that.
I did that right there.
Sitting here on the couch, look.
My one hand was petting my dog. The other hand was drawing. Occasionally I had to get up because she wanted another glass of water.
Yep.
And that's okay, too. But just to continue with to go door number 3 with what puts me in headspace isn't the right word, but puts me under enough pressure to where, by God, I'm going to finish this. Is I've got a friend who's a musician, and it's Ira Howard on YouTube. If anybody's interested, he is an absolutely master musician. And a friend, and he sent me a message one day and said, "Hey man, I like the work that you do. Have you ever done a time lapse drawing?" And I'd never done a time lapse drawing. And he said, "Would you?" Yeah, I'm sorry, I've got to adjust my mic here, folks. Would you do one? Like, he sent me a song, a link to one of the songs that he'd done. I'd like to set one to music.
Yeah.
I was like, sure, man, you bet. And so I sat down and I started, after much futzing around with my phone and trying to get the lighting right and everything else, I hit the record button, and damn, it's like, okay, I can't pause it while it's doing the time lapse thing on the recording on my phone. So I just had to sit there and draw my little heart out for 45 minutes, and by God, I had to finish something, or I had to start over.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun too, because it was low pressure. I don't have to sell this. I'm not. If it turns out to be dog shit, I'll just hit the delete button, and I wasted 45 minutes. So what?
Oh no.
But there was a little bit, of all right, man, you better get after this, and you better do it. And that was fun, and it was freeing in the sense of just fucking do it. Just do it. Just draw. Just keep working. The camera's recording you. Any long pauses are going to be super obvious. Keep working.
Mm-hmm.
And so, by God, I had to sit there and figure it out and rack my brain. I'm like, oh God.
And never really stop moving.
Yeah, and the perspective's a little funky. I thought I'd figure this out. Oh God, I can't wait anymore. Here we go. And it turned out kind of okay. and
now he's going to take it and put it all together and set it to music.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Time lapses are fun. I really enjoy them, but I've never had that kind of pressure on me for a time lapse.
I probably made more of it than there really was, because I get nervous.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes just knowing there's a camera can be enough.
That was enough, because it wasn't as if anyone was actually watching me right there.
Yeah.
Or that it was going to, be the finished product immediately, and I didn't have a choice about it. I could have just deleted it and been like, I'll do another one.
So we talked
just knowing the camera was there was enough to me to be like, oh no, oh God.
So we talked about this a little earlier, but I wanted to touch on it again for the listeners. But how, since you don't have a professional time-lapse camera holding rig, please tell me again how you set this thing up.
I've done two of these time-lapse videos for my friend. One was my camera sitting, it was essentially like an end table that would sit beside your bed. And there was, I think, 5 or 6 cans of deck sealer on top of it, and my phone was on top of it. I had some kind of I don't even remember what kind of clamp I had it in. So that was the first one. And the second one I wanted looking straight down on the paper I was drawing, so pretty well at my eye level, my point of view. And I think that was, my phone was in a quick clamp. The quick clamp, the back end of it was held by a vice grip. The vice grip was in a hobby vise, like a table mount vise. And there was a bag of ammo sitting on the vise to weight it down, because this long arm was sticking out, and it was too cantilevered to support its own weight. And that was the closest thing I had to hold it down. I was like, well, there's a bunch of bullets in that. Bullets are kind of heavy. As long as I don't bump it, it's not going to tip over.
And it worked out just fine.
It worked out just fine. As long as I didn't bump it with my forehead, because then it came crashing down onto my sketch pad.
Did you do that once?
Almost.
Oh.
I caught it. Thankfully, I wasn't recording. It was just during a test, is this going to work?
Very nice.
All right, cool. Just tapping it with the bill of your hat is enough to send it tumbling. Don't do that.
Oh, that's how you got to turn that shit around backwards. And
I did. I learned that.
Boy.
I'm pulling one of these with the hat backwards.
My camera rig setup is half of a 3D printing filament box and a couple of feet of string. And it's suspended from the ceiling.
whatever it takes is. I mean, the camera doesn't see that. Does it work?
No,
If
it
the
works
answer
great.
If the answer is yes, then it's a good setup.
Yeah. The setup, the rig itself is invisible to the camera, which is perfect. But it is super simple and adjustable and all these things, and it really just cracks me up.
Probably very economical too, if I had to guess.
Dollars, man, it costs
Heck,
dollars.
yeah, and everything I had in my setup was just laying around the house. I had all of it. I was just looking around like, I got this quick clamp. Okay, cool. We can use that. I got a hobby vise. All right, cool. Will it hold the hobby vise? Yes. All right.
Yeah, all the reclaimed materials for this particular thing. It's a thing of beauty in its simplicity. It works so well. I forget to use it all the time. I really should utilize it more because I totally. I know.
I get enthralled watching your 3D, watching Thomas's 3D printer run and make whatever it's going to be. It's just mesmerizing and a nice way. Nice way to unwind at the end of an evening.
Man, filming 3D prints is ridiculous. I've seen some people go way out of their way with time-lapse setups to where they time the time-lapse with the layer time, so they only take the picture when the layer is complete, and they're tuned like with the G code of the print and all this stuff.
That'd be kind of cool because you don't seem like the
so you don't see them. You don't see none of that. You just see that thing
growing.
You see the machine not move, but raise the Z-axis arm.
I appreciate the effort.
It's so nice.
I appreciate the effort, but also that's not what it looks like when it's actually doing its thing.
True, it doesn't.
So there's no issue if I were to when I watch yours and you can see that little head just zipping around, laying down material, and that's okay because that's what it does.
Yeah, it's totally
doesn't just
okay.
Magic its way into existence.
But
you don't just magically get lighter holders that say "cunt" on them out of nowhere.
You're exactly right.
I must say, I really appreciate. By the way, when there's something with profanity on it that took a lot of effort, I love it. If it's some kid on like a interstate overpass with a can of spray paint, grow up, dude. Get write naughty words on there. Like, get the hell out of here. When it's someone you had to design a whole program to make a Bic lighter holder that says "fuck" on it. I appreciate the shit out of that.
Yeah, it was a good time and terribly frustrating, but I got it.
You nailed it, and I used that lighter to light all the candles in my house.
Thank you very much. I've seen people go to some very distant lengths to make a very nice video recording of time-lapse 3D printer shenanigans, and I really do appreciate them for it. I just understand that I'll probably never do that myself.
You have better things to do, like making glow-in-the-dark fucks.
Yeah.
Making flying fucks.
Flying fucks. They just kind of levitate in the dark, and it's great. They're so terribly entertaining. I really enjoy the fact that they have the potential for such entertaining conversation because the thing itself is the word that you really shouldn't be saying at all. It's so good. It just makes good conversation. Like, hey, you got some shit on your wall. I know. Don't you like it? Like
it glows in the dark. Shit on my wall glows in the dark.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to see a glow in the dark cunt too?
Yeah, see, and it's there, and it just makes funny situations, and I can't help it if you don't like it. But people that find it funny are the people that I like to talk to. So, there's
a certain level of
you're not gonna
overly offended by something like that. I'm probably not gonna talk to them very long if I don't have to.
Yeah, and they won't be buying my stuff if they think the glow in the dark fuck word is in some way offensive, or if they think it's offensive and want to gift it to somebody that would also be offended. I got the hookup for you, but
Thomas is your man.
I have fucks for you to give.
You run out of fucks to give, you can get some more.
I got the hookup for you, but. It really was just like plain shenanigans that brought those pieces to life. I just really wanted some satirical language on the wall, because there's too much cutesy shit out there. Live, laugh, love can go eat a dick.
Oh, God almighty. Like, if that weren't done to death or just on the wall of someone who's just like the most uptight turd you've ever met in your entire life, you're like, get the fuck out of here. You could stand to like love a little bit more and maybe live your damn life and not be such uptight doofus.
Yep. Uptight doofus.
Drink a beer and go on a bike ride. God damn.
So I made that because it didn't exist and I wanted one. So I filled that gap in my life and my heart with tangible profanity.
There's all sorts of places you could go with that instead of like, what is it? Live, laugh, love is the one that we see. You could say like, fuck this shit.
I have fuck shit cunt. It's
there
great.
you go. Fuck shit cunt. Fuck this cunt. Just have it to where it's rearrangeable and people can,
It's
whatever suits their mood.
I'm not going to stop people from buying the whole set.
Okay.
I'm not.
Give them all. That's it. Give them all the options, and they can have a fuck this shit. They can have a shit fuck cunt.
Mm-hmm. All that.
Oh, you could do. Here's one. You could do the George Carlin's 7 dirty words.
You know what? That's the list I'm pulling from right now. That's where most of my inspiration's coming from. Not because like I'm trying to like strictly go by offensive FCC rules, but like George Carlin's a fucking genius.
No, that you should do it just because George Carlin was the man. Is it shit fuck cunt? Motherfucker, tits, asshole, shit, fuck, cunt, tits, asshole, motherfucker. I don't know.
It's a list of words that aren't allowed on TV. If you all are curious out there in listener land, you should definitely Google George Carlin, 7 dirty words or whatever it is. It's you'll find it, I promise, and it's some wordplay mastery, and that's what that man was good at, and prided himself in, I suppose.
We could use a George Carlin right about now. Where are you, George?
Him and Bill Hicks are smoking cigars or some shit. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, and someone they're in the
fine.
next dimension up. Like, oh man, boy, like y'all don't know what you're missing.
It's like you done fucked up. You were born. Ha ha ha. I can only imagine both of them saying that.
Welcome to Thunderdome.
Yeah, basically. But they're fun. I like them, and they entertain myself, which was the primary function, and apparently they entertain others, and that's a nice secondary function for them.
They do well. I should get one. I'm running out of fucks to give. So
are you running out of fucks to give? I'm not trying to turn this into a fucking commercial, but if we're going to talk about fucks, I have fucks to give.
Thomas has fucks to give, folks.
Oh, goodness.
Twisted Wrist on Instagram.
They're on my Etsy. They're on my Etsy and the Twisted Wrist on Instagram. I usually try to keep the focus on not me in this thing, so thanks for pointing it back at me.
No, this is where the conversation was flowing. I wanted to bring it up there. And if someone buys a flying fuck, then
I mean, good for them. Good for them.
Good for you.
They come in fridge magnets as well. Everybody, fridge magnets. I made a fridge magnet version for a customer.
Probably mail them if you ask nicely.
I can anywhere as long as you're willing to split me on the postage. I don't like mailing things to Europe unless you pay half the shipping. I'll totally meet you in the middle on the shipping if you pay half.
That's fair.
Yeah, I had a guy request a custom commission that was literally 2 words, flying fuck, and he wanted them each like magnetized so he could arrange them on the fridge, and he sent me a picture of it all like up on his fridge after he received it and everything, and there was a big old bottle of Knob Creek on top of the fridge, and then just like one mostly undressed stainless steel fridge. Like, it needed some love and other fridge magnets, but no, it just said flying fuck. It's great. Man's got a flying fuck, and he keeps it on his fridge.
Leave that there for your wife. When your wife's super conservative friends come over, just leave it there and see if they notice.
Man, that's
see if they say anything, because they will notice.
That's those fridge magnet word packs.
Yes, where you make like poetry or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's some super dumb and super psychedelic version themes of those packs, and like I've played with a few of those, and Kundalini burrito is probably one of my favorite word combinations that have come out of those things. Yeah, the Kundalini burrito. You just have that on your fridge, and somebody takes just a second too long to like look at the door before they open it, and they're like,
"Wait,
what the hell is a Kundalini burrito?" And then it's like, "Don't you see that you mix it with the Pineal Gatorade, and then it's just you're good to go?"
It's the burrito that you don't need to reach in there and grab because it's so enlightened.
Yeah, it just floats to you. But yeah, I really enjoy that pack, and if I had room at eye level on my fridge for more of those type of shenanigans, my fridge is pretty full up with magnets and art, so I don't have a whole lot of room for stuff. But you, my friend, can certainly do that.
I should do that. I think I will.
I'll send you links.
Please
because I have that like on my Amazon wish list. I'm pretty sure like the psychedelic pack.
I got a big list of things I have to order on Amazon anyway, and that might just sneak its way in.
I'm sure it's less than
Kelly
$5.
will look at it because I share the Amazon account with my wife, and she'll look at it and be like, "Ethan, what the fuck is this?" I mean, I don't know how that got in there. Like, it was,
Baby, you weren't meant to see that. It was a gift for you. Why are you snooping?
she'll roll.
Why are you looking?
She's gonna roll her eyes and be like, yeah, you're full of it. You had one too many beers and got on Amazon again, didn't you?
Like, I'm trying to be nice. This is for you. Those stories really crack me up, and I can't say I haven't drunk purchased from Amazon some art supplies because I have done it. I have done it.
It's easy to do. I try to go to our local and wonderful art supply store, but every once in a while they're just out of stuff. And they even told me one day the things that I tend to buy, like the lady behind the counter was like, "We have a lot of trouble keeping these in stock. Like, they're so backlogged." She's like, "Just get on Amazon and get it. Like, I won't tell anybody."
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
I even made the joke that I'm like, I'm glad I don't have to do this for a living because I'm just going to wait for you guys to get it so I can pay you because I don't need it. I just want it.
Exactly.
So if it takes 2 weeks, so what?
Yeah. I love Jerry's. Jerry's is great.
Jerry's is wonderful.
Jerry's Artorama, everybody. It's a local Knoxville art supply store.
Mm-hmm.
They're a glorious place. And I really want to talk to some of their managers or desk people at some point because I'm sure they have a very interesting lens into the art community of Knoxville.
I have no doubt that they could tell you all sorts of stories, and I would love to hear them.
Yeah, I would like to talk to one of y'all folks, just so you know you're out there and you're in the what's the word I'm looking for? You're in my sights.
Sphere.
Yeah, they're in my sights. I want to sit down and talk to y'all. Right. I want to sit down and talk to y'all because it'd be cool, I think. But yeah, I've walked in and they've not had the stuff I needed before, and I was like, well, good thing I don't have to have this to earn my living. Because if I did, I'd be sad right now. But they usually do a good job of keeping everything in stock most of the time, as best as one can, because it's difficult. I mean, hell, weather just screwed up everything for the country. Like, it happened in the middle of the country, and both coasts got screwed. One of my buddies ordered a bumper for his car, and it took like an extra 6 weeks to get it here with the weather delay, because he was going to get it a couple weeks ago, and then the weather struck Texas, and it was in Arkansas, and it was just a big old cluster.
That was a huge clusterfuck. Good Lord, I'm glad I didn't live in Texas.
Yeah, that whole mess was indeed a mess. I looked at some of like the satellite pictures of the clouds and formations and stuff, and it was as cold in Texas as it gets in Alaska when all that was going on.
No.
Yes.
Hard pass.
It was.
No, I'm going to stay my ass in East Tennessee.
Yeah, all we got out of that mess was like 6 inches of rain.
Yeah, exactly. All I did here was rain. That was it.
So sometimes being an artist in East Tennessee is good when only rain doesn't knock out our power. Not to make light of any of the hard times in Texas. It's just that.
We are kind of making light. There was some shit really did go down in Texas. I shouldn't laugh at it. But I was being sincere when I said no, thank you. I do not.
Yeah, it did really get that cold. It really did get that cold.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked.
That's a whole. We could go down that road, but this is an art podcast, not a politics podcast. So let's get back to art. What do you want to talk about?
Are we too comfortable sitting on the couch?
Did we make a mistake? Should we have sat on the stools instead of on the couch?
No, I think couch is the play.
I'm a fan of the couch.
Couch is the play.
All right, if I ever end up back on this, maybe we should try the stools just to see how it's different.
We can. Well, when you and Shelly and I all get together and talk shit.
Oh my God, that would be nothing but shit talking.
It would, and I'm not going to apologize for it because there would be plenty of art talk in there.
I'm sure there would be, and I must say that on the podcast with Shelly that you did, it was number 3 or 4. I think. Early
5.
Maybe it was 5. Anyway, y'all were talking shit about me.
Yeah, we were.
Never felt so loved. Y'all were talking shit.
Well, I mean, if we both didn't have such a deep love and respect for you and how you express yourself, we wouldn't have said such terrible things.
I listened to that episode and thought, oh man, they're talking shit about me again. Yeah, it's just, oh my, be still my heart. This is great.
Well, it was hard to avoid when one of your pieces is hanging like 6 feet from where our faces were because we sat over there. Yeah, so she saw that and mentioned it before we sat down to record, and I was like, yeah, well, I guess we'll talk about that asshole in a minute, and lo and behold, we did, and now here you are.
That is the little guy wandering through the mushroom forest. That is one of the few things I've ever drawn that I am actually properly proud of.
And you let me have it?
Yes.
Ugh.
Because you liked it. And
I
was
love
like,
it.
holy shit, somebody actually likes the stuff that I sling onto paper. Hell yeah, you can have it.
So I really do want to sit down and have more group conversations with folks, like in that sort of vein. Like there are lots of people I could sit down and chat with. I think that would be a fun. I need to get another microphone first, but but that would be a fun little venture as well.
You could make a couple other people share a microphone, and that would limit the
Yeah,
talking over one another.
You know, you're right, and I've done that before, and it's not fun.
No, okay,
no,
all right,
it's
I'll
not.
take it back.
No, I haven't done it on my podcast, but I've done it on other podcasts, aka the Leftovers podcast that I did at work. But it's not fun. I don't like it. I'd rather just have this awkward mic in my face and not have to hold it and hand it to somebody when they look like they're about to speak.
Okay, that's fair. I could. It'd probably be more interesting that way when you see the person sitting beside you, like they're fixing to just snatch it from you because they're like, no.
Yeah.
I gotta get.
Well,
that's
why I get mine, and everybody else has to fight over the other one. So I get to watch all of their angsty body language, but I really don't want to do that to people, as entertaining as it may be. It's not fun. I didn't enjoy it, at least, so I'm not going to spring that on other people. Unless they want to do it, I ain't going to stop them. But I don't want it. I don't want it at all. So do you have any pieces in the works that you're trying to knock out, or any body of work you're going to start, or anything like behind the curtain you want to tell us about?
There's a few ideas that I've had hanging around. I know. It's just all they've done is ping around inside my rather empty skull. It's one of those, I'll get to them eventually. One of them, and this one was suggested to me by my brother, who, just as an aside, got all the artist genes. All of them. He got all of them. Everything. He can sing, he can paint, he can draw. I've got a bunch of his beautiful paintings hanging up on my wall. He makes wonderful films that he can do. If it's artistic, he can do it. I don't even know what else to say. All the artist genes, he got it. I got whatever. I don't even know. So anyway, this one was suggested by my brother. So the little dude that wanders around with his dog, the pieces that I've done so far are standalone. It's a one-off. It's in the same theme. It's a little dude and his dog. It could be a lady and his dog wandering. I don't even know. Really, I don't know. I hadn't actually thought that much into it. So someone out there who's who's a woman who's like, that could be me. Like, yes, it could be
definitely
you.
Could.
It's a nondescript, cloaked, hooded humanoid figure with a dog. The dog is definitely a dog. The cloaked figure can be whatever you want. There's no coherent theme to that. And I thought of doing it just kind of like panels in a comic strip or a comic book, to where it all flows together. That's it. That's all there was.
So there's
a beginning, a middle, and a conclusion to wherever this person is going, and doing them probably separately. The idea that I had was to do them completely separately on separate pieces of paper, and then when the story gets told, piecing them together in such a way that, I don't know. I'm trying to picture something where you see the first panel and the little wanderer is going into a cave, and then in the second panel, you see the inside of the cave, and the wanderer is descending down a rope, but the second panel is offset downward from the first panel, so they're in and now they're down, and whatever path that they're taking in their fictitiously created space is mirrored on the actual space that you're looking at on the wall.
Okay, so you give the direction of movement, you follow the camera kind of.
If there's a
the point of view.
descent, if the character is descending, that panel will be located, lower.
Vertically and down.
Yeah, vertical and down, and the other one, if they're ascending or if they're climbing up a mountain, the mountain's going to be like way up over here, that kind of thing, and just piecing that together on a big panel, I suppose, would be something I'd really like to do. But that would take some planning, and damn, I don't know if I want to do that.
I'm going to say I really like that idea, and I spur you to do such a thing in some form or fashion.
I need to do something like that because I think it would be fun.
And do something tiny, like 3 or 4 pieces, and see how it goes.
I'll probably do a few tiny ones, piece it together, just as like a storyboarding for animated movies, and then go from there. And I think the advantage to that would be is like if I screw up, I've probably only screwed up one. If I want to make 5 or 6 things and piece them all together on a big background panel,
yeah.
If I really royally fuck one up, well, I just whatever. I didn't screw up the whole thing. I just screwed up this one piece. I'll just toss it and start another one.
Yeah, that would be advantageous.
So that's one that I've been thinking of, and I actually have a list here in my little notebook that I brought with me. Yeah, that's about it. I started with the most interesting one, so I'm not going to even read any of these other ones.
Oh, come on.
No, mostly it's just like little one-off things that I want to do.
Well, what are those? Let's hear them. Come on, man.
There's one of the most beautiful paintings I have ever seen, and I have seen it with my own eyes, is Botticelli's Birth of Venus. There's a bunch of births of Veni, that have been done by various Renaissance painters over the years, but the Botticelli version, god damn, there's just something about that. I don't know what it is. I think it is truly that I actually saw it in Florence. In person. It's huge. It's beautiful. And I don't know. I wonder if I could do something like that. Obviously, it's a very colorful painting. Everything I do is in black and white. But it would be fun. The thing is, it'd be fun to try. It'd be fun to try and to do, the goddess Venus emerging out of the giant clamshell with gods and goddesses on either side. It'd be really difficult. It would definitely be out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I don't do that kind of stuff very often. I would have to draw hands, for God's sakes. I'd rather be tied down and whipped than have to draw hands, as probably most people who have ever drawn hands
I'll take a whipping next time I go to draw hands. If somebody could just step in and be like, here, you have this option, and then I'll take a few lashes and the hands just magically appear. Oh, God. I would take that so fast.
I would take it if the hands don't magically appear. It's like you either have to draw a really excellent hand or
5 lashes.
Yeah, it's 5 lashes. I'm like, man, those 5 lashes, how long is that going to take? 30 seconds? Get the whip out. Let's do it. It'll be a lot less pain, and it'll be over faster.
Nah, I'm just going to say, if I have to take 5 lashes, them hands better show up. They better show up and show up.
Your standards are just higher than mine.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm getting something out of this other than an ass whooping, okay? I'm getting more of that out of this.
All right, that's fair. That's one that I just got in here. I don't know why the hell I even wrote this down. I kind of regret it because now I've said it out loud and I'm going to have to try it.
Oh, you don't have to, but I'm going to. I'm going to mention it to you later, and you can feel guilty then.
I know. I don't have to do anything, but I will.
Right.
And then there's a handful of things that I want to try. I'm sorry, I keep mentioning this poor Polish bastard's name. The Beksinski is, so many of his drawings are just, they're almost, aspects of them are nondescript and misty. Like you see something looming in the background, and it's kind of like, it looks like a tower. It's probably made by humans, maybe, but it's just so faded in the mist you can't really tell.
And it's also kind of hard to get a sense of scale. You just know it's back there.
Is that tower 100 meters tall, or is it 10 miles tall? You don't really know. And also that ominous sense of like, man, humans aren't supposed to be here, but a lot of it is just the lack of sense of scale. Like whatever that is over there, that's big. But is it big or is it impossibly big?
Yeah.
I have no idea how to do that, but I've kind of been trying. Very unsuccessfully. It's all dog shit, but I keep trying anyway.
You have a very defined and attainable goal in front of you.
There's a goal. Like I will know it when I see it. If I get it right, I probably never will, but it's fun to try.
You're going to work on it. That's one of the things. I've mentioned this to John yesterday, but like this tapestry behind us by chance, this Rob Mack tapestry.
It's very psychedelic. very psychedelic tapestry. I've seen that on drugs before.
Yeah. But he's got so much color and so much density in this piece. This is the level of detail, quote unquote detail, that I try to shoot for in my geometric stuff. Like, if you really look deeper into some of these darker areas, you see that he's got shades of purples and blues and pinks and purples and stuff in there. Really,
right,
really deep in there.
That's this swoop right here. This isn't black. That's just a dark
and a lot of really tiny dots of many different colors. And he goes through the gradients of warm and cool colors and layers them in different contrasting ways. But he packs so much just color into these spaces. It really inspires me to try and add more detail to my work.
And the detail is almost by definition a pain in the ass. And even if it's just repetitive detail, like you draw in a night sky and you got to draw a bunch of stars, it's not exactly hard to draw a little circle with white ink on a black background. But when you got to do 10 gajillion of them, it's annoying.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's where the good music and the good headspace come in, because you're like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do for the next 30 minutes. I'm, by God, drawing stars, and that's it. Don't bother me.
And as far as I can tell, his workflow is a pretty calm, musically intensive, very relaxed headspace workflow.
This tapestry is actually beautiful. I saw it when I first came in, but didn't take the time to really sit and stare and appreciate it.
This was like a 70 centimeter. He's Australian, so it's like a 70 centimeter disc that he painted this on, and then was photographed and blown up for the tapestry. Yeah, I mean, he holds these things, and they're like as big as his chest. You know, he's very talented. I don't know how many times I've said that so far on the podcast, but he is very talented.
There's a lot of talented people out there, and a lot of underappreciated people.
For sure. So, other talented people, who are some folks? We'll hit that last question. Who are some folks that you want to hear on the podcast? Local people.
Oh gosh. Shoot, that's one thing I should have listed out and written down. And I didn't, and I regret it. All right, so our friend Shelly's been on. That's great. I would love if you could somehow remotely do Ben Adams.
I've sent him a message on Twitter.
Yeah, it's might be possible, it might be not, but I think that would be fun, even if y'all just did what you and I just did and sat around and shot the shit about nonsense for half the time. You've mentioned Lola. I would very much like to hear from.
She's still on the docket. I'm trying to wrangle her
because I like Lola's art so much. It's her own.
Yeah,
and it's wonderful, and I love it. And I've extracted some influences from her, not so much in the theme that she does, but in the way that she does it. The way she does she makes those the continuous lines and the hatching, and the way that she does the shading. It's great. I love it, and I've tried to take the bits of that I think I could actually use for myself and use them. Lola would be good. Good Lord. And these are just visual artists. I've got a friend. He would probably do it. He'd probably be game to do it. Okay.
So musicians, non-traditional artists, all that. It's still fair game.
I'm going visual artists first, and then I'm going to swing over into probably music. That big mural that's on the building across from Barley's. You know that mural? The East Tennessee Music. I am good pals with Walt Fieldsa. I have known that man since I was born.
Hey.
He'd be an interesting cat.
I'll mention it to him. We'll see what happens.
I will. If I told him about it, he'd probably be like, yeah, sure. If I'm not traveling around or got some other big project he's working on. Just really interesting guy. He's probably, I don't know, how old am I? I'm 35. Walt's probably 70. And has done a lot of really cool shit. A lot of wonderful work. And I mentioned the mural just because it was something you probably would have seen before.
Yeah, it's a pretty well-traveled part of downtown.
And he's given me a lot of good tips over the years and tried to goad me more into making art when I was much younger than I am now. And I know, shame on me. I'm a slow learner.
Wag of the finger.
Yeah, Thomas is wagging his finger at me, but I deserve that. And but it was always giving me like good little tips. He's like, here's some essentially drills that you can do. Here's some exercises, things that I still work on to this day. I'll give you an example, like draw an egg.
Yeah.
Anyone out there, a visual artist, draw an egg. Good fucking luck. Eggs are hard to draw.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. They're so simple to look at, and you're like, I could draw that. And then and maybe just people out there better than me, but I suck at drawing eggs. I have sketchbooks full of nothing but eggs, and they suck.
Whole sketchbook.
Well, it's a super cheap sketchbook. I didn't like actually pay money for it, and things like that, and little things. And I'm just going to keep going on this because this is an art podcast. Damn it! Things like when you make your line, think of like planes doing a touch and go, which is a drill that pilots learn. Like you go like you're coming in for a landing, but you're not actually going to land. You touch down briefly, and then you up the throttle, and you take off again. So point being, you come in gently, gently, gently. You gently touch down, the pressure increases, and then you gently take off. It's so simple when you say it like that. You go, oh yeah, obviously. But when I was just like taking my pen and just like slamming it down on the page and then raking it across, it just looked stupid because it almost looked like a damn comet. And I got that advice from him and was like, son of a bitch, like how have I never realized that before? Little things like that make a difference. When you have someone that actually knows what you're talking about, they're not a buffoon. They're not just an 8 who's been given a pen like myself who's trying to draw. It makes a difference.
It does.
So he's a good one. And then let's see who else we can do. I'll probably think of other. I don't know. There's so many good local artists, and you probably a bunch of ones you've already thought of.
Well, that's okay. Because you can always, if or when you remember, you can tell me later.
Okay, I'll
because I swear I compile this list that people give me, and I really do try to reach out to these people that they suggest. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to find myself at a dead-end street with no people to talk to pretty soon.
I'll see what I can do to help. The fella I mentioned earlier who I did the time-lapse drawings for, who's a musician, he's a fantastic musician. He can do anything musically. It's wonderful. Super chill, down-to-earth guy. His Ira Howard is his stage name. I can give you his contact information later. Good dude. Gosh, I'm really coming up short, man. I'm sorry. I should have made a list because I knew I was going to panic and be like, "Oh God, think, Ethan, think."
It's all right. It's funny to me that you and my previous guest John both came with prepared notes. I guess I should come with some prepared notes, but I guess they're all in my head at this point. But it just cracks me up that y'all both come over here like, I'm prepared.
Well, it's because I knew that I was going to be asking, well, at least I got 2 out of the 3 questions. A list made for 2 out of the 3 questions.
Well, that's all right.
And I knew that I was going to like fucking panic and freeze and not know what to say. So here I am panicking, freezing, and not being able to think of any other artist.
That's all right. Well, Ethan, tell us your social media handles again, and then I'll play us out.
Best one is Instagram, Ebo Draws.
That was the show. I hope you enjoyed. All the relevant social media and website links will be in the episode description for the featured artist today. And if you yourself or know an artist that you would like to be or see on the platform, shoot me an email. It'll be listed somewhere on here. I'll try to make it plainly evident for you. But thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.